Last month, a very popular YouTuber by the name of Nick Shirley happened to be in New York City, and he was in Manhattan on a street called Canal Street. Now, this street is notorious for, people going to get goods and clothes. Some of them are authentic and many of them are not. Those counterfeit goods are sold by a lot of foreigners. And now what we're seeing is there are West African guys who are selling these things. And they're coming from the Francophone African countries, such as, Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Mauritania, those places. And this is kind of what it looks like.
Illegal migrant scams have taken over New York City as they control multiple blocks and sell counterfeit items, while some wear shirts that say "I'm not a scammer," to trapping you in a photo with Pedro Parker in Times Square. These scams have exponentially grown as New York City welcomed foreign-sized armies from Africa and Latin America run lawless in America's biggest city. I hit the street to see these New York City scammers firsthand, and not only do these scammers yell when they see a camera, they also attack.
Now, the interaction when you go and you try to film what's going on this particular street is that these guys can be quite hostile.
How much?
Yo, what's up? We don't do no fucking camera. Fuck the fucking camera.
Hey.
Keep fucking pushing.
Hey,
you heard?
hey,
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Hey,
Fuck
back
you
up,
with your
back
fucking
off,
camera.
back off.
I said, fuck you with your camera. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Who the fuck you work for, bitch ass nigga? Who the fuck you work for? Bitch, who you work for? Fuck you, nigga.
You're in public.
Get the fuck out of here. Yo, listen, you gonna get the fuck out of here.
Hey.
Beat your fucking ass
Back up.
over here. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You gonna get fucked up. I'm telling you,
Wait,
bro.
back up,
You
back
gonna
up.
get fucking fucked up over here.
Back
Get
up,
the fuck
back
outta
up.
here. Keep
Back
your fucking
back
pussy.
up.
Get the fuck out of here. That's what y'all do, snitch ass motherfucker. Look at yourself in there.
Hey.
Take that shit somewhere else.
Hey,
Come
why
on, man. Keep
are
it
you mad
fucking
at
pushing.
me?
Keep it pushing.
If you look at the full video, you will actually see that these African migrants attacked this particular cameraman of Nick Shirley. And it got so bad that the particular man that was on the video, ICE ended up picking his ass up, as you can see here, and that guy got deported back to Mali. Now, on a larger scale, I've been here talking about Pan-Africanism, why I may call it Pan-Scamming-ism, and of course, I have caught a lot of slack, okay? But now I want to talk about some fundamental things. And the reality is this: if Pan-Africanism was really working, that means the Africa free trade was working. People were investing in the continent. People were really working together in the continent, or even with the diaspora. It would address what we're seeing here in America. Because what we're seeing here in America are African migrants who are in New York City, and they're selling fake goods. Basically, they're scammers, all right? And they're hurting the American public. But why are they there in America in the first place? The reason why they're there in the first place is because Africa can't get its shit together. That's really why. And I'm gonna be more open about it while I'm even living in Africa, to basically hold the mirror up to Africa's face. You see, when you take care of your own people, you take care of your own community, and you have relationships with your border countries, this doesn't happen as much. This can actually solve its own issue, because Africa is so great in resources. Africa has so much potential. Africa has, the Africa Free Trade Agreement that could be working. It has ECOWAS. It has the East African Community. It has Southern Africa. But when you can't work together or give a reason for some people to support you, then you can't create the jobs in those countries. You can't create education in those countries. You can't create infrastructure in those countries. So what do you create by default? You create poverty. So now what you end up having are these African immigrants leaving for a better life. And where do they go? Let me give you a hint. They don't go to places in which is more poor. None of these guys from Mali will go to Burkina Faso, right? Shout out to Dr. Eric Khan on that. I don't know if he caught the joke. Yeah, they're not going to Burkina Faso. They're going to a place where they can survive and try to make something for themselves. So whatever they have to do to get to America, they're going to get to America. And lo and behold, by no small chance do they end up in the Big Apple, where obviously, in New York City, it's a sanctuary city. So shit like this can happen there. It's easier to happen there these guys are more protected, or they end up in Chicago, they end up in Los Angeles. Well, what happens? These are places where the rent is expensive. So these guys got to support themselves by any means necessary. They can't work. They'll probably struggle to speak English. So what do they got to do? They got to start scamming. And it's not that they want to scam, but this is the only way that they can survive. So now you have these guys beating up on the American public. And the reason why they're beating up on the American public is because their country failed to do what it was supposed to do, which is protect its citizens. But instead, you have these leaders of these respective countries. They're doing everything but protecting their citizens because they're too busy protecting their damn selves and their own bank accounts and becoming gatekeepers and seat holders and controlling their wealth among their little small elite circles. And then obviously that leads to trust, the erosion of the private sector, incentivization. It creates bottlenecks. And so eventually, time over time, talented people in these countries say, we can't make it here. There is no way for us to be here. There is no life for us here. I need to go away. If it's not to America, it's to Europe. So now Europe suffers. If it's not to Europe, it's to Dubai. Let me tell you about Dubai right now, the UAE. It's so many issues with certain African immigrants. In my beloved Uganda right now, there are people who are having an issue getting work visas into Dubai or to UAE. Same thing with Nigerians, right? Because, somebody goes out there, you get a few bad apples can ruin it for the rest of the people. And so Africans are also mistreated there because of those few small bad apples. And then we talk about Pan-Africanism isn't working, then somebody is a CIA agent and somebody is hating. How am I hating? We just literally saw these guys on Canal Street terrorizing Canal Street. And the reason why they're terrorizing Canal Street is because they were terrorized in their own home country. So now the only thing they know how to do is how to scam somebody else. This is not to say that every person can be like this, right? Because when you're smart and you're intelligent and you're doing good, the world typically doesn't speak for you. You don't really get a whole lot of props for it. We do know Africans can do good in Europe and America, but see, bad news travels faster than good news. And when you put this mirror up to the continent's face, the continent don't want to see that. The continent wants to see somebody like Walter Maya, somebody that can come out and tell the beautiful stories of Africa, and he's a legend for it. No doubt. I mean, I met him myself. He's a great person for doing that, right? But literally what you don't see when Africa wants you to talk about how great it is and how many great buildings it has and how many nice restaurants it has and how many nice expensive car dealerships and 5-star hotels it has, they don't want to show you this shit right here, which is corruption, which is some lies, which is not doing good business, which is being down bad. And it forces people out of opportunities to go elsewhere. At the same time, these same leaders and these same people preach Pan-Africanism all day long, and you have 500 ladies from almost every East African country going to be maids in Saudi Arabia and getting their passports held there in Saudi Arabia by Booking, a company. And these are Ugandans doing this, and these are Kenyans doing this. These are Tanzanians doing this, selling their own people over there because that's the only way they can make money, because the governments fail to do their job. And when you fail to do your job, everybody else becomes calamity across the world. They affect other people negatively, right? And then people start to have a bad outlook about Africans. They start to have a bad outlook about Black people because of what's happening here. When Africa got the best opportunity and the greatest opportunity to build their people up right here. My question is, why not here? Why must they leave? Why must they get on the ships and go in the water and die and risk their life going across ocean, getting into Libya and becoming slaves and that type of stuff? Why not here? Why over there? Why do they gotta go over there and scam and go over there and do some of these crazy things because they want to support themselves and support their families because they can't do it here? I see a lot of people brag about how good they're doing in America. There's one guy in particular. This is a dude, I don't even want to mention his name, but he's from Zambia. He's living over in Texas. He's bragging about how good he's doing in America. And he has criticisms of people like me who come to Africa. But you know one thing, you want to know why he's not in Zambia? He couldn't make nothing of his life in Zambia. He couldn't do shit in Zambia. So now he's somewhere in Texas trying to make some money, talking about how good he's doing in America. And now he's investing in Zambia, but he could have never did well in Zambia because the African dream for him didn't work. In order for the African dream to work for the average African, they have to go to America, or they have to go to the UK or to Dubai or get lucky and then get that money and then bring it back to Africa and hope the investment works out. Then they get to live the African dream. That's how this works, okay? And I'm gonna tell the actual truth. That's how it works for Africans. They suffer the most out of anybody on this continent. They suffer the most. And while everybody is up here bigging up Africa and how beautiful it is and how great it is, the real story on the ground is sadness. The real story on the ground is fear. Fear of the future, fear of tomorrow, fear of what's happening right now, uncertainty, doubt, living in a survivalism mindset, not growing in opportunity, not understanding relationships with people. Because everything for you, it has to be what I'm getting out of it right now. Not understanding that life don't work like that. But they won't tell you that. But I will. And that's why they don't like me. Because I'm telling the truth. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy LJ Jackson back at it again. Another episode of Kenganda. I'm out.